Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Government News. Today is August 2nd, 2010, and I am Darko. I hope all of you had a great weekend. And this video is going to pretty much consist of economic news. So I'm just going to stick with that. This first article is from the Congressional Budget Office, and it's titled Federal Debt and the Risk of a Fiscal Crisis. This is actually from July 27th, 2010, but I thought I'd hold on to it because, it's good stuff when you actually have government institutions such as this admitting that there's a problem, right? Because you go to you'll hear Obama and the politicians and the media saying the recovery is around the corner. Oh, there's a double dip recession, and the recovery's coming, and everything's going to be fine. Just give us some more money. But this says over the past few years, U.S. government debt held by the public has grown rapidly to the point that compared with the total output of the economy, it is now higher than it has ever been, except during the period around World War II. The recent increase in debt has been the result of three sets of factors: an imbalance between federal revenues and spending that predates the recession and the recent turmoil in financial markets, sharply lower revenues, and elevated spending that derive directly from those economic conditions, and the cost of various federal policies implemented in response to those conditions. Further increases in federal debt relative to the nation's output, which we all know is gross domestic product or GDP, almost certainly lie ahead if current policies remain in place. The aging of the population and rising costs for healthcare will push federal spending measured at a percentage of GDP well above the levels experienced in recent decades unless policymakers restrain the growth of spending and increase the revenues significantly as a share of GDP or adopt some combination of those two approaches. Growing budget deficits will cause debt to rise to unsupportable levels. And so what can you do? You can increase taxes. Well, the people can't pay the taxes. You can declare a war and just borrow a shitload of more money. And at the same time, I don't know how it works exactly, but wars seem to give the appearance or the illusion that everything is good and the economy is booming. But after that, after it's all said and done, it's really just a bunch of people are still hurting. It gives them a temporary relief. But the same people tend to profit off of it. So that's my kind of, not really prediction, but as far as what they're going to do, they're going to keep asking for bailouts and stimuluses, and there's going to be more crises on the way. And I know Stefan Molyneux was saying how he doesn't believe that we will go to a war with Iran because we won't have the money and the support. And to a certain degree, I agree with him. But I know that I understand that that the ruling class like wars when they're pillaging the purse of the people at home. They like to divert their attention to something else, so they allow certain crises, whether they're fabricated false flag terrorist attacks or economic warfare type or style attacks to occur, so that they can profit from it and they can consolidate their power. In other words, get rid of their competition. So I see a lot of that coming. Federal Reserve keeps shutting down banks. But the one thing that I would like to say is I don't see the government not spending money or cutting down spending. I just don't see that happening. Not in this day, not in this age. It says, if the United States encountered a fiscal crisis, the abrupt rise in interest rates would reflect investors' fears that the government would renege on the terms of its existing debt, or that it would increase the supply of money to finance its activities or pay creditors and thereby boost inflation, which there are a good amount of people that are predicting hyperinflation to be in our near future. For us in the United States, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but it says to restore investors' confidence, policymakers would probably need to enact spending cuts, Yeah, right. The only spending cuts that are going to happen, people, are your social benefits, your programs that you are forced at gunpoint to pay for that actually do somewhat benefit you, but they won't decrease police state funding and militarizing the police. They won't cut that. They won't cut the defense spending for the wars, unconstitutional nation-building wars that just feed into the bank accounts of the military-industrial complex. And they're not. So they're not gonna. They're just gonna keep spending. They're just gonna. When they do cut, they're gonna cut things that, for a socialist type economy or in a socialist type country that we are now, which I would say we're more fascist than socialist, but we do have social welfare programs, and then instead of keeping those, and we just keep paying, taxes for it, they're going to cut those and they're going to keep the same amount of money overall spending on national defense. And of course, like I said, they can either stop spending or they can increase taxes. They'll do a little bit of both. They'll gut social programs, and then they'll increase taxes on some people, maybe the wealthy, maybe the poor. I don't know. Maybe and then I wouldn't say the top 10%. They'll increase the taxes on kind of that the millionaires and that, and then they'll give tax breaks to the poor. And that's how they'll work this. It's a nice little fascist corporatist system, and they know how to pull the levers to do what they want with interest rates and gas prices and all the other good stuff. But it says, finishing, policymakers would probably need to enact spending cuts or tax increases more drastic and painful than those that would have been necessary had the adjustments come sooner. This article says House approves more Afghan war funding. This is from July 27th, 2010. And this was from antiwar.com. It says, though one would have expected that the massive release of some 92,000 classified documents Sunday, underscoring just how poorly the war is going, would have changed some minds, but the Obama administration has gotten its way once again, with the House approving the $59 billion emergency funding to keep the war going by a 308 to 114 vote. I want to know who these people are that voted for it. Because if you're still buying that war fear-mongering bullshit of supporting the troops and the troops are going to die, trust me, that money is going for the troops to have bullets so that they can protect themselves. All you have to do is cut off their funding and they won't be there anymore. Simple as that. Some $33 billion of the bill was directly to pay for the Obama administration's December escalation of the war, which is a troop surge. This is Obama hails auto bailout as good news in Michigan. This is from the Washington Times. And this again is towards the end of July 30th, 2010. President Barack Obama says his administration's bailout of the U.S. car companies saved more than 1 million jobs and kept communities that depend on the auto industry afloat. And I'm not going to go into that. I think it's pretty self-explanatory that if you would have just let the free market exist and you would have let them go under, other companies that were more efficient and more productive and would have built what Americans want, or it's just more efficient cars and more better quality cars, and they would have just went under. But no, we kept them going, and we paid for them to outsource some of their factories overseas. Just like we gave money through taxes to companies to move overseas in the 90s, we did it pretty much with this as well. So this is an older article. Somehow, I guess they're all kind of a little bit older, but this one's like almost a month. So, but it's a good article. I recommend checking it out. It says banks financing Mexico gangs admitted in Wells Fargo deal. That's right. Yeah, the banks are money laundering drug money for them. So thank you everybody for joining me, and check out my other videos that I'll be posting later on today. Thanks.